Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. 2010 Nissan Altima. Customer complaint was a AC being inoperative. Now I've already diagnosed the vehicle. I checked the refrigerant charge, make sure that we had enough pressure in the system for the AC system to engage. In actually, when you turn the button on, all you got to do is go down to the lowest part of that compressor and make sure that you get power to the compressor clutch, which we ended up with power to the compressor clutch. All the way down to the compressor clutch, I should say. And the compressor clutch is bad. Simple as that. I was unable to find the compressor clutch, so ended up ordering the whole compressor, and we're going to go ahead and go to the process of changing that out for the customer. I got to bring my recovery machine over here, get that all set up, and we'll go from there. Well, it's easier to remove the wheel on the passenger side, so I did that, remove a couple of push nails. Of course, there's a older vehicle, so got a little bit of damage on the plastic, so not a big deal there. Grab a light. Like I said, there's some push nails over here, and there's normally a couple of them. That plastic piece here will remove. I got to remove that bolt up there. I think at some point in time, we put a different screw in there. Don't really remember exactly. We'll get that removed. That's going to make it easy to access everything. So anyway, as you can see, AC compressor sits here. I hope you can see that. I am actually turning it. Can you see it or can you not see it? Okay, you couldn't see it. And anyway, I'll get out of the way. I am turning the inside of that that AC compressor. There's nothing wrong with the AC compressor. It's the clutches that are out. Up here on top, 14 mil, I think, right here, right above the frame is your tensioner. Trying to stay, at least somewhat stay out of the way of the camera. You can see, just take that belt off right here. I wouldn't necessarily remove it all the way. I just leave it hanging. Lower bolts, these are going to be on the air compressor. I'm going to call it an air compressor. So get over it. These are 12, I think. You got too low, too high. I always say same thing. Look at your new part versus the old part, and then you can see where your bolt locations are. So I'm gonna quit fiddling with this since I have not recovered the system yet. I just got the machine over here. I hadn't done that yet. I wanted to get that belt off and all that good stuff. I'm gonna go hook that up real quick and pull the juice out of it. We'll go from there. A free tip for you: air intake, remove that thing. Don't fight it. You take these two 10mm bolts out, that opens up the whole entire front end. I have no idea what service information says, and quite frankly, I don't care. Now, don't get me wrong. I would never tell you that it's not worth having service information. Service information is a good thing, but the experienced technicians, they will agree that, or likely agree that, try this again. I hope I didn't lose too much. Battery went dead. But anyway, I took the air snorkel up here, I took it off, two bolts, two 10mm headed bolts. They open it, it opens everything up here. So did that, and I hooked my AC machine up. Service data I have not looked at, is what I was saying, and I don't know if the camera shut off before I said it or whatever, but anyway, service data great, but a lot of times service data does lead you astray, and a lot of your mechanics out there that do this for a living, they will agree with that. So I haven't looked at service data, don't care. I know what I think I know what I'm doing here, so I got to recover the system, pause the camera up, and get that done first. And by the way, to just tell you about my previous statement on the AC charge, right there is, let me see if I get the camera around, right there, you can see in the shop, I mean, I'm looking at 110 psi right here, so that system is 100% charged. So before I go any further, we've also did recover about a ½ ounce of oil. The compressor is pre-charged with 3 ounces. However, now the compressor itself didn't have the failure. It's only the clutch that had the failure. So basically, I'm not putting any new parts on the system. All we're literally doing is taking the new compressor, bolting it in place, hooking everything back up. Now, like I said, I recovered a ½ ounce of oil in here. I'm gonna go ahead and add maybe another ounce or so to the compressor. That is more than enough oil, at least in my opinion. So stay tuned. I'm gonna go clean that can out. Flip that screen around so I can see. So right there is your compressor. I hope we can see that. There's no way for me to get the camera down there. 2 bolts right there on top, and of course you got your 2 bolts that attach to the hoses. So we have to undo those. 12 millimeter. I'm gonna go ahead and do this now. I've actually played around with it when the recovery machine was running. We did recover the proper amount of refrigerant, or very near. You can't. There's no machine that really recovers 100%. They are very efficient anymore. I forget what they claim on this one here. I think it's actually quite high, like 99% or something like that. Anyway, but anyway, I lied to you. Those are 10 millimeter. A little bit about the air conditioning and about the air conditioning. This shop of mine, it is air conditioned, so I actually got it cranking at about 72, something like that. But of course, you still have moisture. AC does take moisture out of the air. That's what AC does. But anyway, not all it does, of course. But anyway, the system is under vacuum. You pull the lines, you're going to have an inrush, atmospheric air, and the atmospheric air does have moisture. In these parts, I can tell you that most people don't even vacuum the system. They charge them, don't even know that you have to vacuum them. I normally opt for 30 minutes. I do 15 to 20 minutes in the wintertime. I do 30 to 45 minutes in the summer. Obviously, reasons like I just explained, humidity. That would be the reason for that. I am taking my time. The engine is still relatively hot, and I really don't feel like burning my arms, so I'm kind of loafing a little bit. Not that worried about it. I'll pause the camera off for just a second. One thing we can talk about. I have been asked the question, so how much does the service cost? Well, really, that is something that me nor anybody else will actually answer. In particular, this job here, what I will charge is going to be about 1.7 hours of labor, and then a little bit of charge to actually use the AC machine. And of course, materials goes without saying. If you're going to do O-rings and other places, you have to charge for all that. But in general, as a broad statement, it'll be 1.7 hours. That's what my labor is going to be on this vehicle. And like I said, that's it. You have, of course, every shop that I know of, they charge something for shop supplies. That means oils, lubricants, blah, blah, blah. They charge for that. If it goes beyond that, of course, it's an extra charge. Most shops that I know of, that means nothing. They charge if they have to use a machine. They charge a little for that, or it's included in the labor. A lot of shops, I would say, I would assume that most shops have different ways of putting together their invoices. I leave it at that. I don't know how else to explain it. I have my own software. You know, I do most of the quoting out of the book, unless I know already that the book is a bogus number. If it is too much, you know, I will take off. If it's too little, I will add to it. But anyway, that answers that question. Now let's see how hot we are over here. My shield actually not that bad right now. So high side hose. I'm gonna leave the camera sitting right there. Of course, we're gonna replace the O-ring on that. Take it off. Be sure no dirt falls in it. Low side, same way. We will be replacing this O-ring. If you want to, take a peek inside. If you see any kind of debris or dirt, well, I shouldn't have to say it, you're done. Of course, this one here does not have any kind of debris in it because, like I said, it was not a compressor failure, it was a clutch failure. If any of you guys have a source for clutches, let me know. I'd be interested to hear it. So hoses are off, the bottom bolts are out. By the way, the bottom bolts are the short bolts, the top bolts are the long bolts. I got one more bolt to remove. This is the last thing. Got some people shooting fireworks already. Now, although that compressor is sitting on a boss on the bottom side, that does not mean that it will just sit there and wait for you to pick it. Now, personally, this is the part where I'm going to put some string gloves on because this is exactly the kind of area where I'm going to say, I normally get pinched or scratched or something. So, I'm going to put these here gloves on, guys. As I have no desire to get all cut up and scratched and bruised, or at least I hope that don't happen. Carefully lift the hose out of here. Make sure you remember how to put this back. High side the same way. I'm going to get it out of the way. I think we might have to remove the filler neck. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This one is a hose. It's actually a hose that's not attached to the radiator. Let me get that out of the way a little bit. It may help us if we have to twist it. I do remember having taken them out from the top before. Well, as a matter of fact, I think they do come from the top, so it doesn't. That was perhaps not the best statement. Take a quick look here. Look at something real quick. Yeah. Yep. Not going to mess around, guys. The alternator has to come out. Take a few seconds. Wrong ratchet. Okay. I'll get that out of the way real quick. Careful with that wire from the alternator, that is hot. Trying to undo the clip that holds that wire in place, in case you're wondering what I'm doing here. As I mentioned, do be careful with that wire. Yeah, that's probably not the best thing in the world to do. I get it. That is a 14. Not bad. Alrighty. One high, one low, that's all it is. Where'd my ratchet go? Somebody stole my ratchet. What in the damn blazes? There we go. Pretty bad, can't remember where I put my shit. Let go! One more thing, we must be careful here not to trap ourselves. Easily done. That coolant tank sits kind of in the way. I want to trap myself with it. Whoa, whoa! That's kind of what I thought. This is a super long bolt. I thought I remembered that. Wow. Let me take a chill. Take a chill over here. I only lost a couple of drips while ago, don't worry. Yep, I done made another mistake. Well, not necessarily a mistake, but rather than unbolting the alternator, I should have unbolted the whole entire bracket. I should have unbolted the whole entire bracket rather than unbolting the alternator from it. Sit it out of the way up here. Get that unit yanked out of there. It's kind of like this. These units are not that heavy, but when you get in a tight spot where you can't just latch onto something and lift it, it does make it more difficult. You know when it seems like I'm struggling a little bit? That's because I am. Like I said, it's not that these units are overly heavy, but when you get hung up on everything, that makes a big difference. Easiest way to get it back in is to remember how you pull it out. Verify that this compressor is in fact the same thing. Oh, you son of a... Yeah, that's right. I did just cuss that. Thank God the engine had time to cool down. Now, as I said, damn, that's slick. I have a couple of drops of that coolant up here. It's slick. Anyway, as I said, the bolts, when you start them, don't tighten them. You have to go underneath and put those bolts in. They will not line up later on. Been there, done that, won't do that again. It's not going to work. Give you a shot of this where it sits, and I'm gonna pause the camera up because I'm also fixing to run out of memory card as well. I already know that. So right there you see the compressor, two bottom bolts. These never line up when you tighten the top. Well, you might get lucky, but a lot of times you have to fight them and it just isn't worth it. Of course, now that you lifted it up, you got the bottom in, you can go ahead and tighten the bottom up, because we got a top started. So guys, I'm gonna pause the camera up. I don't want to run out of cord and have to start all over again with that. So in a nutshell, that's what that is. I'm just gonna go ahead and reverse this and turn the camera back on. One more thing to share with you real quick. What I did do off camera a while ago, when I was playing around with it, I did take my little power supply. I did engage the clutch. Clutch is working. I did check the 15 to 30 thousandths that they wanting for clearance on the clutch. I did check that. So I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. I meant to tell you that and I forgot. So before you put that in, you might want to check that. You know, new don't always mean that it's right. If you use a lubrication on the new O-rings, which you probably should so they go in easier, it has to be the PAG oil. It cannot be your rattle can or anything like that. You know, this one here happens to be a PAG 46, so that's what you use to lubricate that O-ring. So actually what I did in this particular case is I put some the PAG 46 UV dye in it, because this system has UV dye in it, and I want to definitely keep it charged up with the UV dye in it, because that does sometimes help to find leaks. Everything is back where it was. We bolted everything back up other than our air intake. Put approximately about an ounce and a half into the compressor. I got it set for 30 minutes on the vacuum. Then of course it automatically charges after that. Not going to test right now. I don't think it's necessary. That wasn't the problem with the leak. We just replaced the only two seals that we disturbed, so I'm going to skip the leak test. Okay. I guess there is one more thing to talk about real quick. Obviously, it's a recovery machine. I guess in a roundabout way, it would be advisable, if you're doing it at the house, you're not going to have a recovery machine. So it would be advisable at this point in time to put some shop air in it. Nitrogen preferably, but odds are if you don't have a machine running around, you may not have any nitrogen around either. So anyway, shop air is fine. Just make sure you've got, if you're getting it straight out of your air compressor, at least make sure you drain the tank before you hook it up to the AC system. You know, the more condensation and wet gets in the system, the longer you're going to have to vacuum. But anyway, you know, it's just a thought that if you're doing it at home, you may want to, before you start filling it with the refrigerant, you know, you may want to use something and actually verify that you don't have a leak. Spray it with soap and water, you know, who knows, anything is possible. The reason I say that, I have a recovery machine, so if it has a leak, I can pull it right back out. I'm not losing a whole lot, and the 134 is not going to stay that price forever. She's going to start climbing. Before you know it, that stuff is going to get very expensive. I wouldn't doubt for a second that at some point in time, it's going to climb to the 1234 YF price. So we're at 25 minutes. I got time to kill. Now, I'm going to pause the camera. I guess I may add something else while that's doing it. I had the customer order the compressor himself. I told him what to order. In this particular case, we ordered the Four Seasons brand. I do believe that's the same thing that Napa will sell right now. It's AutoZone Napa, I can't remember, but anyway, they're okay compressors. You know, this one is a new one, not a reman. We got it from Rock Auto. I can go ahead and tell you where it came from. Not a sponsor, of course. Reason for it is, you know, I try to support the local stores and all that good stuff best I can, but there comes times when over the compressor clutch, you know, the AC compressor really wasn't bad, like we already established 20 times. It was the clutch that was bad, so I had a hard time finding the clutch. I did find the clutch, actually, but the clutch was nearly within $40 or $50 what the whole entire compressor was. So it's, to me, that was kind of a no-brainer. Customer agreed, so he ended up ordering a new one. Of course, I cannot prove it to you. Line is ice cold. Well, I could prove it to you. Car is running, air compressor working fine. No audible noises coming from the engine, not dragging the engine down or any kind of symptom that would have me worried. I'm going to shut this back off because the door is closed. And the vents are ice cold, by the way. Whatever is coming out of the vents is ice cold. One more thing that I've noticed, and I don't know why that is, but it seems like every vehicle that comes in, the caps, guys, the caps are important. They have O-ring seals in them. If your valve goes bad inside where the hookups are, the hose hookups are, these caps can help you. They can definitely help you. Put the caps back on when you get done. That's important. Another thing is, if you're like me and you made a mess, or make not a mess, but you spill a little bit of the dye, engine degreaser will work great on that dye. You must clean. I repeat, you must clean your engine. If you're running dye in the system, you must clean your engine. Because what's happening, if there's any dye residue left on any of the components, by the time you start driving down the road, that is getting the sling when the fan kicks on or whatever it is, it slings out and it goes all over the place. And later on, if you did have a leak, your dye is useless because now you have dye spots all over the place. Some of them may be close to the AC lines, so you don't know. Could be a leak, or could be interpreted as a leak. So you must. I'm sorry to repeat myself so many times, but you must clean the dye off. If you spilt it like I did, I spilled just a tiny little bit, but a tiny little bit can make a mess underneath when you're looking at it in the dark with the UV light. Trust me, take my word for it. That's experience talking. So anyway, guys, I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, do what it is you do. Again, I cannot say this enough. We appreciate everybody subscribing. Appreciate everybody, you know, that watches the video. You know, give us some good feedback here. You know, like I said, you got comments, we take all of them. You know, I don't care. If you got something that you would have done different, let me know. You know, I take it into consideration. I learn every day. So, guys, we'll see you on the next one. All right, I got to quit doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on the next one.